Hey everybody, my name's Forgotti, and today I want to talk about the new dungeon in Destiny 2, my thoughts about it, and my thoughts on the day one experience. So let's be honest, let's rip the band-aid off immediately. Bungie is in a really bad state right now, and has been in that state for a very long time. I think the release of Beyond Light and the sunsetting of content was a huge example that Bungie was going downhill very fast. And it's been so for so long, with dwindling player numbers, a really bad community, and just overly incompetent higher ups at Bungie and incompetent developers. It's been a nightmare, not to mention also the double layoffs that happened, and the fact that Sony won't put fire under Bungie's ass to actually produce good games. In my opinion, this day one experience was a massive disappointment to me, because I thought it was going to be actually something very interesting and unique, and sadly, the dungeon in question was a joke. The final boss is a reskin that of previously used assets from a boss that was in a raid, Deepstone Crypt, and the mechanics in the dungeon have a slight bit of unique tweaking to it, but it's literally reused abilities that was already in Deepstone Crypt and were then immediately used later on in an exotic mission, then to be reused again in a dungeon. They have a little bit of unique tweaking to them, but all in all, they're still the same things. Operator, scanner, and suppressor still pretty much do the same job as in Deepstone Crypt and that one exotic mission. So all in all, the dungeon was pretty damn disappointing that they pretty much reused a lot of assets because they have no original ideas at this point. Not to mention, in my opinion, I think doing day one dungeons is kind of stupid. They kind of seem fun, but that's the thing, kind of. And I'll get to the reason why I don't like these day one dungeon experiences already, and I hope they don't implement any more of them. So, in my opinion, the dungeon in question is actually very beautiful. I do like the look of the environment, but that's all it's going for it. That's legitimately the only thing that's going for it. It feels like a cheap copy of Deepstone Crypt mixed with that exotic quest. That's all that I feel the dungeon is. It has slight unique abilities like the whole dunking nukes system, but that's it. That's it. There's nothing else really going for the dungeon. It's pretty disappointing. Now, as for the day one experience, in my opinion, the day one experience was extremely lackluster and disappointing. As someone who is in the somewhat upper echelon of skilled players, the day one experience was pretty disappointing. As someone who has done day one raids, solo flawless many dungeons, I feel like Bungie's design of the day one dungeon was ridiculously stupid. First of all, putting a time limit in the first encounter is extremely dumb. The fact that the time limit is a very small. From what I remember, this time limit was only 6 minutes. That's already a big stupid mistake on Bungie's part. Not to mention that when you put in nuclear cores, you only get a little bit of increase in time by a tiny bit. It is very, very tight, the time. The second encounter is also annoying, and the third encounter is also annoying. All in all, I feel like, and the fact that also, another thing that pisses me off is the fact that they only have those mechanics in the contest mode and not the standard mode really pisses me off. The idiots at Bungie make me wonder why even put mechanics in a contest mode if you're not going to implement it in the standard. How about make both contest mode and standard mode have the same mechanics? I don't know why Bungie adding newer and crappier stuff into a contest mode exclusively is considered difficult and, ooh, amazing content. It's not. It's garbage. It's stupid. It's dumb. You're adding stuff just to remove it. It's like someone giving me orders to write a essay with like 12 paragraphs, and then they immediately tell me subtract 3 to 6 of the paragraphs. Like, why? It's so counterintuitive. And why not even keep contest mode in general? Why not make contest mode a permanent game mode? And just remove some of the exclusivity stuff, like the emblem and the guaranteed drop of the exotic. Why not just give like a runner-up emblem if you complete contest mode? Why remove contest mode in general? I feel like Bungie is really stupid company run by really stupid idiots. And this contest mode kind of made me realize that the word difficulty is something that Bungie doesn't know. Because in my opinion, difficulty is something like challenging mechanics, or something like Undertales, or something like Elden Ring. But what Bungie does is they just increase the health of enemies, decrease the damage players can do, and add extra game BS that won't be implemented in other parts of the same game mode when it's on like normal difficulty. So it's kind of stupid, Bungie's idea of difficult and challenging. It doesn't feel difficult and challenging. It just feels like an unfair, buggy piece of garbage that they decided to make. Another thing that absolutely pisses me fucking off, and I'm tired of this, like if a Bungie developer hears this, I really want the idiots to hear this. I know that it's your right as like the owners of the game to pick and choose what you want and don't want in your game, or want to have and don't have. But one thing that's always pissed me off completely is, why the hell do these idiots, these college graduate idiots, constantly disable items on day one contest modes when it's raids to dungeons? Why are they so afraid of what they created? In my opinion, it's counterintuitive to disable things that you implemented into the game. Why? Because it's going to give an unfair advantage to what? Some elitist content creator, influencer, and streamer? Like, dear Bungie, you are stupid. You guys there at Bungie are so damn stupid at your job, because you're catering pretty much to the elite 1% of content creators, streamers, and influencers whenever you produce day ones. Because why disable stuff? Give everyone the same equal amount of items and not disable anything. Because we all know that, I mean, no LFG player, because at this point it feels like Bungie's afraid that an LFG team's gonna win a day one. But at the same time, that's not gonna happen, because the way you designed your game, you're catering to the 1% instead of the rest of your community, the 99%. And that's what's been killing your game for so damn long. Like, that's the stupid thing. Why disable it? If it gives a medium tier or new light player a chance to an increased chance to complete a day one and get like a little bit of enjoyment and satisfaction doing the struggle, but like completing it, why not implement stuff? Don't disable stuff. It's disgusting and ridiculously stupid that they constantly disable stuff because it's an unfair advantage. It's already an unfair advantage. We already know that Salted Greppo or Dado or some other big named content creator is going to complete the day one run. It's not going to be some LFG team. I mean, God forbid if an LFG team actually completed a day one and world's firsted it. That would be absurd, because Bungie needs to really show off the social classes of their game, and how the elite 1% of PvE players will always be the dominant and better social class of the game, and that the normies that are the standard players, like the freaking medium tier to new players, should never get a day one world's first, because God forbid. I just really am disgusted at Bungie. I think that Bungie should stop disabling stuff whenever a day one rolls in, or enable it once a world's first team has completed it. Because at this point, Why? Because I know that everyone wants to go for world's first, but normal players know that they're never going to be able to go for a world's first title. So why is it that you guys at Bungie Studios disable stuff? Just re-enable it once someone beats it. Because at this point, if you're not first, then you're second place loser and so on. So it's really stupid. I feel like Bungie has really lost their brain when it comes to like critical thinking and thinking strategically, because truthfully, no one likes disabling. I have talked to countless people in LFG and they're like, oh my god, I hate disabling so much. What is wrong with Bungie with this disabling? Bungie's so stupid. Bungie's this, Bungie's that. No one likes disabling. Stop disabling stuff on day one. Stop it, Bungie. Get some help. Your developers need to start learning. Because instead of them growing as developers and making money for the company, they're just gonna be fired. They've already been, what, 2 layoffs? There's probably gonna be a 3rd one at this point because I don't want to play Destiny 2 anymore. I'm getting tired of this BS. So that's another thing that I just don't like is the disabling. Stop disabling. And also, as for like locking out the dungeon, it pisses me off too, because if someone doesn't want to do contest mode, they should have the right to choose whether or not to do standard or contest. What I think Bungie should have done is if you played it on normal, the moment that you triggered normal, it locks you out from doing contest mode. That's what I think they should have done, so that they don't give an unfair advantage to people, streamers who are trying to go for world's first. Ooh, because in my opinion, preventing your entire community from being able to do the dungeon day one and relying on 3 fucking teams to complete it, to unlock it for everyone else, is insane and ridiculous. Day ones for dungeons should be for everyone, because in my opinion, day one dungeons are the standard intermediary of endgame and helps to teach new players and medium tier players to grow and excel as human beings and as gamers. Because after dungeons, you get things like grandmasters and dungeons, grandmasters and raids, because dungeons are designed for like teaching people endgame. So the fact that you alienate a majority of your entire community and prevent people from doing the day one pretty much because you had to wait for streamers to get it done is ridiculous. It took, I think, maybe 7 hours for the first team to complete it, and then another hour for the second and third team to complete it. There's many people that could have probably already completed it within 30 minutes to an hour, and we had to rely on these guys to complete it for us so that we could get normal mode. And I did contest mode for a little bit, but then I left it because I was like, nah, screw this crap. This is garbage. I don't want to do it anymore. And that's saying something, because I've done tons of contest modes on raids. Like, this was stupid. This was such a stupidly designed. I think that dungeons should not have contest mode. And Bungie is really desperate to try to get their player base back, and they're grasping at strings. Like, they're so desperate at this point because it's insane. Contest mode is so stupid. And I'm not saying this because, I didn't complete it. I could care less. I'm talking about this for everyone's benefit, not just some 1%er that wants to flex like, you didn't complete it. I completed it. I'm better than you. I don't give a crap if you completed it. Go touch grass, get a life. There's people out there that have a 9-to-5 job. It's not my fault I don't give a crap that you completed it because you play this game 6 hours a day because you have no life, no job, and you're probably flunking out in your education because you're probably a high schooler or a college student with a freaking trust fund. So I could give 2 craps about you. I don't give a crap if you completed it or not. But in my opinion, I feel like everyone should have the right to complete it. Everyone should have the right to complete contest mode, and disabling stuff and tweaking it to an unfair amount and tweaking it to something completely different, because normal mode and contest mode are completely different. The mechanics are slightly changed by a tiny bit, but still a massive difference. because it really changes whether or not you can complete it or not complete it. So I feel like they shouldn't do that, and they should just make it all the stuff that's in contest mode the same as in normal mode, just without some of the stuff like the whole one life mechanic and the increased health thing. But like the whole timer for the first encounter, that should be in the normal, in my opinion. Because why implement it in the contest if you're not going to implement it in normal? It's stupid. So in my opinion, I think that this was just sucky. This was just so sucky. It was unfair. It was designed poorly. And I feel bad for the day one team too, that World's First did, because you don't really get anything good. You get a jacket that you can buy from the Bungie store, and a Live Strong wristband. Like, just hearing the interview with the day one team, they were like, "Wow, yeah, we did it. We're so happy." But just hearing their voice, they didn't want this. We all know that all of those elitist 1% like streamers and influencers, they want a World's First raid belt. Dungeon's pretty much like runner up for winning. Like, it's so I feel so bad for them. I feel so bad for them. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. Congrats, guys! You got a jacket and a Live Strong wristband. That's just horrible. Bungie could have at least given them like a replica of Icebreaker at least. But yeah, it is what it is. So in my opinion, the game is absolutely in a massive spiral. The game is catering way too much to the elitist players and not to its entire community, because truthfully, the 1% is a small minority of Bungie players. They have to start catering to the new players and the medium tier players that have jobs and education and a ton of stuff. If they cater only to a certain group and everyone feels left out, of course they're going to leave. I want to leave. I'm an elitist player who's been playing this game for years. I've done trios of raids. I've done Pantheon Flawless. I've done Pantheon. I've done day one raids. I've done tons of stuff. And yet I always feel like it's so unfair for everyone else. Everyone should be equally given fun, not just one group of people because they play the game 12 hours a day. It's unfair. So I feel like the game in question is just dying. It's just dying, absolutely. And another thing I want to say, another big thing I want to say, is Raid Report and Dungeon Report is the best worst website imaginable. I think that Bungie should actually, 2 weeks in advance before a dungeon or raid comes out, Bungie should ask Raid Report and Dungeon Report to disable their website. Because in my opinion, Raid Report and Dungeon Report has ruined the community because no one wants to play with new players pretty much, or medium tier players. They only want people who know what they're doing. And this dungeon was so nightmare fueled. Finding a team was near impossible because everyone was always asking Raid Report, Dungeon Report, Raid Report, Dungeon Report, Raid Report, Dungeon Report. I tried to find a chill team and I couldn't find a single chill team. I even found a chill team. I DM'd them and they're like, "Oh, what's your Raid Report?" Motherfucker, I don't give a shit. I thought you said chill. You didn't even ask for Raid Report in your message. I DM you and now you ask for it. And the funny thing is, people are so picky. They judge a book by its cover. In my opinion, Raid Report and Dungeon Report does not matter. I played with a team that asked me for my Raid Report and Dungeon Report, and I gave it to them. I joined them. I was looking at their stats and they were really good. They duo flawless many raids and they solo flawless many dungeons. Who do you think survived the most and got the most kills? It was me by 1,000. They were struggling. The three idiots, me and the two others, we were struggling in the first encounter for 2 fucking hours. They gave up and kicked me from their team. And funny enough, they had the most deaths. I had 7. They were around in the 20 to 30 range. They had 600 kills. I had over 1,000. I killed everything every time and tried the hardest to carry them, and they couldn't do shit. And I even double checked, triple checked, and verified that I had the right raid reports and dungeon reports. So in my opinion, raid report and dungeon report doesn't make any difference. Just because you send someone a raid report and a dungeon report doesn't mean that they're a good player. Funny enough, I actually once accidentally gave someone the wrong dungeon report or raid report, and that's how I got into my Pantheon team by accident. And I never told them about the accident, and pretty much day one, my team would literally get it done within 30 minutes to an hour, and I was always one of the best people on their team. And most likely, if I gave them my dungeon raid report, since it's not a perfect god tier dungeon and raid report, they would have never invited me. But since I accidentally did a thing and just never told them the truth, they just went with it. And then when I told them in the end, they didn't care, because even though they judged a book by its cover, they realized that I was actually good, because I actually know how to do stuff in the game, and that I have a life. So I have college and a YouTube channel. So of course I'm not going to constantly play the game 24/7, because I have other things to do, like life. So in my opinion, the game's in a really bad state. There's so many people that refuse to play with others and help people grow as players. Because if you pretty much just alienate and isolate players and refuse to play with them on day ones or contest modes, how are they supposed to grow as people? If you're always asking for raid reports and dungeon reports, how are the people supposed to grow and evolve as players? It's sad. It's sad that this is the state of the game. And in my opinion, if you want to play a better game where its devs don't nerf things, disable things, there's not constant drama and controversy in the studio, and they actually care about their community, and they believe that the player should play the way that they want to play Warframe. Warframe, sadly, I know a lot of people will be pissed off about this, but Warframe, sadly, will always be one of the best made looter shooter games. And no matter how hard, Destiny will always brag that they got $3 billion from Sony and that they've been around for 10 years. No game, in my opinion, Destiny 2 will never beat out Warframe. No matter how much Bungie brags about how Sony gave them $3 billion and they're building up a new studio and all this and that. Sadly, Warframe will always be far better than Destiny 2. Their developers never get laid off in mass amounts. Their CEO isn't corrupt. They make a ton of content for free, by the way, with no paywalls. And this is the thing, and they don't even have the large budget that Bungie does. Imagine having $3 billion and a majority of it gets pocketed by your corrupt CEOs, and a lot of it doesn't even go into evolving the game. Truthfully, Destiny 2 needs to end. Echoes, in my opinion, is the ending of Destiny 2, and Bungie should just stop making Destiny content and evolve and find a new series to work on. Because truthfully, the Lightfall, this last saga, the Lightfall saga, this last DLC, and these last echoes, I feel like are good completion to the story. Just we're cleaning shop in the solar system. We defeated the Witness. They need to move on, Bungie. I don't care about the Winnower. It's over for me. It's over for a lot of people. In my opinion, the game is over. The story's over. It's time to move on. The fact that Bungie won't move on is saying something, and they need to. They have to read the room. The game is dying. Its community is massively divided. We have a serious problem with the elitist mentality of players, and the fact that a lot of people don't want to play the game anymore, and a lot of people don't want to play with others because of fear that the player's not good enough. it's made the game just a toxic cesspool of just nightmare degeneracies and just unfairness and just broken, buggy microtransaction hellhole. Bungie needs to move on and go into a different path, because at this point, it's over. Destiny 2 as a series is done. It's completed. But yeah, that's my thoughts on the whole thing. If you believe that I'm wrong, so be it. It's your opinion. You have the right to your opinion. If you want to cuss me out in the comments, of course I'm gonna fucking ban you if you do, because if you don't have good criticism and it's just shit post brain dead gibberish, your opinion doesn't matter. But I'll try to talk to anyone who actually has a solid opinion and thought on my ideas. And if you see something that I'm wrong about, let me know. But as someone who's been playing this game for many years, since the season of Undying or whatever the hell that Vex season was, it was during the Shadowkeep DLC. And someone who has done many solo flosses of dungeons, played through the community, have played with some of the largest members of the content creators, from Lucky 10p to actual world's first raid completionists. I think I know a thing or two about the game, so I mean, it is what it is. But yeah, I have to end it here. I'll see all of you next video. See ya.